Hello, my name is Peter. Welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about change your world by changing your attitude. Change your world by changing your attitude. First I want to give you a proper greeting. Bhagavad Shanti, peace to you, peace to me. So yeah, change your world by changing your attitude. I remember when I first started researching into the world and mainly the corruption that was going on. I found myself in positions where I thought, this isn't right. This isn't right. Actually, first-hand positions of thinking, oh my goodness, what is happening here? I think it was when I was fined for parking on the pavement, when wheels up on the pavement in Hounslow it was, and I've been parking like that for years, and so had everybody else. So it wasn't really out of the question what was happening. It wasn't really a pavement that was used because it was next to a field, and there was no access to the field from it. It was like a government field or whatever. And therefore no access, no one used the pavement. The only time people used the pavement was to get into their cars on the other side. That was the only thing, and there was enough space anywhere on the pavement once the car was up on the ramp. It was so that it didn't block the traffic, the two-way traffic, so it was the intelligent thing to do was to park like that. So what happened was I got a fine one day through the door, and I questioned it saying, well, this is what's going on here, this is the first time that this has happened. And I wrote a question back, and I just got another letter back saying, well, your fine's been doubled. Then I wrote back and said, well, hang on a minute, what's going on with the first fine? I didn't know. Then I wrote another letter back saying, what's going on with the first fine? Why have you not responded to me? Another letter back saying the bailiffs are coming around. And I thought, what? Speak to the hand, speak to the hand. And therefore, I thought, surely this is not how this country operates now. How naive was I? How naive was I? So I paid the fine because I thought, oh my goodness me, the bailiffs are coming around. And while I was doing that, I was researching into why this has happened and what was going on with this. And then sure enough, what happened the second time, another fine came through saying, well, I was parked like that a week before. And I hadn't paid that fine, therefore I owed that same amount of money. I think it was like £350, quite a lot of money. And I thought, hang on a minute. I haven't even had a letter from that for the first time. I haven't had a letter from that for the second time, third time. So I, again, wrote a question back, so well, if you don't pay this fine, the bailiffs are coming around, they're going to start, and we're going to collect your car from you. So I was speaking to all these people who like, trying to fight against this. And they were saying, well, you have to park your car out the way, you have to not answer the door, when someone knocks on your door, you become like a hermit, you're hiding, like you've done something wrong. And I went, oh my goodness me, and then I became angry, and more angry about this. And then I started to research into it, I started to write to my MPs, and they said, well, there's nothing you can do, you can approach the European Union, because we were deeply entrenched in the European Union at that time. So I went to the European Union and I asked them about what our laws were. I went to the Citizens Advice Bureau, asked them what our laws were, and they said, well, it's corpus juris now. I said, what do you mean it's corpus juris? We've always been a habeas corpus country. And I've got to prove my innocence now, and what came through was this: don't go into a conversation with us, just prove that you're innocent. And I'm thinking, well, how do I prove that I'm innocent with these three options you've given me? So I went through all this whole process, and I went to all these meetings. I went to the UKIP meetings, I went to Conservative meetings, Labour meetings, I went to all the different meetings, all these fringe people who were talking about how our laws were changing rapidly. And I became angry, bitter, resentful, nasty to be around. You couldn't talk to me because I was so wrong. I was so wronged by this society. And I thought, jeepers, creepers. And I was convinced that it was my job to go around telling everyone about what was going wrong with this society. I suddenly realised that I had to change myself. I had to really change my attitude towards it, because it was just destroying me, destroying my life, destroying everything around me. And even now I wrote blogs about it, still up there on the internet, still being viewed, about how this creeping tyranny is coming in, and people now are starting to see it more clearly than ever before, and that's really good. That's a good thing. But my point is that I started to change myself. I started to move myself away from that angry, bitter, resentful human being that was looking at this world and going, my goodness me, this is so corrupted, this is unbelievably corrupted. to someone who actually starts to focus on themselves, starting to breathe and create the world that I want, even if it's restricted in the way that we are being restricted at the moment. There's still a world around me that's beautiful, absolutely wonderful and beautiful. So I've changed my attitude towards that, and I call it the matrix now. I said I don't really want to get into discussions about the matrix. I will do if you want my take on it. I'll give you my take, and you won't like it. You won't like it at all, because I'll tell you about the conditioning, how we've all been conditioned, how you're conditioned to think, how you can have reactions that are actually programmed into you from the Tavistock Institute, and how we've been bred to be consumers by Edward Bernays. And you read his book Propaganda, you'll see all of that research there. And Walter Lippmann, I think, also was another great propagandist, pushing humanity into this. Now we're being pulled away from that now, and it's like a wave, in and out, in and out, in and out, which is why you can never get any answers or truth from it. You can never get any truth from it. It's always a constant battle, and it will always wear you out. You come inside, you realise, I can change my world. I can change my world big time, and not get involved with that. But still, people come into my life occasionally with that attitude from the matrix, saying, well, this is so bad. Yeah, of course it is. Do you want me to explain how bad it is? Because I don't really want to go into it, but I will if you want me to. I will if you want me to, but this, come over here. Look at this over here, and look at you. Look what you've got, look what you got, look where you are, look who you are. Look at who you are. Ask the question, who am I? What am I doing here? Why am I here? 3 really big questions, and that will start to seep into you, and then you'll start to realise how powerful you are, because the power is taken away when you're sucked into all of that matrix garbage. It just sucks it out of you, and you'll be angry, bitter, resentful, and you'll be hard, you'll be tough. You'll get this shell around you, which is your ego. Obviously you're trying to find a comfort zone for you so that you feel comfortable, and you'll try and push that out, and that's just a strain in itself, and you'll be hurting yourself as you push, just because you know you're right in your position of saying, well, this is so corrupted, this is so bad, why can't it change? Because you need to change yourself first, and then rise above it, and then pass it on, saying, well, do you actually agree with this? I'm coming from this place. Now I've changed my life to this position, and now do you actually agree with this? It was like when I was a vegetarian and I didn't agree with the dairy industry and how it treated cows, and how the cows are suffering all over the world, some of them worse than the actual meat industry. And there's me preaching about the dairy industry, how bad it was, and I'm eating cheese. You think that's right? No, that wasn't right. So I gave up cheese, I gave up milk, I gave up dairy. And the alternatives now are phenomenal, brilliant. We don't miss it now. Well, we were writing, my wife and I, we were writing a recipe book with vegan food in it, all with cheese. Cheese, we loved our cheese. And obviously that went on hold. But now the food we cook is much better, because we've had to use our brain. We come out of our comfort zone. Oh my goodness me, we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And I love it now. You find the ethos of different foods, and not just because you haven't got meat in it doesn't mean it's bad. You can use the sweet and the sour and all the different other flavours and herbs that really combine with each other on the plate, and even in one dish, but on the plate as well. Like mint and dill and all these lovely herbs, or sweet and sour, sage and thyme and rosemary, all these herbs that come into, you can put into your food, just because they say, well, you've got to have mint with lamb. No, try mint greens. Loads of greens you can put into like a nice pot where you cook the greens up, and you say, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous with mint. It's lovely. It's one of my wife's favourite dishes, which is the minted gravy. So we change our world by changing ourselves, not by going at this matrix. And this will go. It's the end of a cycle for it. It will go, but we need to raise our vibrations, and so we don't want it anymore. Even if you put a letter in nicely to your politician, yeah, you want to throttle him, but you put a letter in nicely saying, I see what's going on. I think this is ridiculous because I've read about the PCR tests and how inaccurate they are, and they never were created to test for viruses. They were created to test for strains. Strains in your body don't mean that you've got the virus. So how can you say we're going through all of this because of the PCR test? Simple, really simple. You don't have to be angry, and then they know that you know, and then they'll do something about it. And then eventually, when enough of us see this is completely wrong, we'll change the whole system. But not some Joe Smo jumping up who's part of the system, like Nigel Farage. I'm a change, I'm reform, and then just ignore the whole establishment that we've got there that's actually running the show, rather than the politicians, the puppet politicians in front of them. It'd just be the same, going over again. You just have the same again. It would just come over again, and the same wave will come over. That's coming to an end. Next 4 or 5 years, maybe 10 years, we're going to see the end of that. We see the children coming through who are rainbow children, and they are phenomenal.